All this week, we've been talking to the candidates running for mayor of the city of Little Rock. Monday, it was Baker Curris. Tuesday, we had Vincent Tolliver in the studio. And last night, we heard from Frank Scott Jr. So tonight, we have a sit-down interview with another mayoral candidate, Warwick Sabin. Welcome to Fox 16.
Thank you, Donna. Glad to be here.
You know what? I have to admit, it seems to me like you have been running for mayor for two and a half, maybe 3 years. You actually started your campaign, or at least your exploratory campaign, first.
I did that back in July of 2017, so almost a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And I did that because the city has been stagnant for a long time, and a lot of that has to do with the system of government we have, which really kept people from being able to have competition and challenge the current office holders. So I did something nobody had ever done before, and as you mentioned, I created an exploratory committee, which allowed me to have a fair shot at the office against a 3-term incumbent mayor. And long story short is, I got laughed at, then I got sued by the city. That case got thrown out. The current mayor's now decided not to run for re-election, and we have a great field of 5 candidates and a real competition and a free market for ideas that are going to help move the city forward.
You think starting your campaign that early and starting it the way that you did actually cleared the way for that? Because like you said, you were looking at running against an incumbent mayor.
That's right.
That's out the window now, and you have 4 other candidates that are running for the position.
Well, Little Rock has a lot of really unusual laws that allow incumbents to have a lot of advantages. One is that you can't be a candidate for a city office until 5 months before the election. Another allowed them to keep money, and all of these things basically created the situation we have in the city now, which is people who've been on the city board for 26, 24, 22 years, a 3-term incumbent mayor who's been there 12 years. And so, yes, I had to do something different, what I like to call some positive disruption, to create the opportunity for change. And I do think it was necessary, and I think it's also an indication of the kind of things I'm willing to do to really help Little Rock reach its potential, because I think the frustration in the city is we all know we have a great city and we all know it can be better, but we need some better leadership and more inclusion in order to move the city forward.
Let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned the city board. One of the big issues is these at-large positions and whether to create all of the positions at large or to eliminate the at-large positions. What's your how do you stand on that? Yeah,
I've been consistent from the beginning in saying that I'd be in favor of removing the at-large directors.
Why?
Well, because they're not directly representing people in the city, and so in essence they diffuse the representation of all groups in the city. And I think
they say they represent everyone.
Well, but think about it this way: we don't have at-large members of the state legislature. We don't have at-large members of the United States Congress, because if that were to happen, then the most powerful interests in the state or in the country would have more representation than the rest of us. I think we all believe in one person, one vote, and I think if we went to a more traditional system here in the city of Little Rock, where you have only ward directors representing their wards, you have the opportunity, of course, for collaboration among them, but you have also the opportunity for individual citizens to know that they're being represented when big decisions are being made at the city level.
A lot of people are tossing around this phrase, strong mayor, or a strong form of government. What is it? I'm getting confused here. Strong mayor, yes, strong mayor form of government. Do you favor that? And I think, our viewers, just to make sure they know what that means that the mayor would actually run the city versus having a city manager do it.
Yeah, well, I would favor that, and I think that, we have a lot of confusion about our city government right now because we have what's called a city manager form of government.
Exactly.
Which, basically puts all of the administrative power in the hands of the city manager, and then the mayor serves on the board, but doesn't have necessarily direct levers of power to control things. And we're one of the only cities left in the state that has this form of government. The cities that are more effective do have a mayor council form of government where, again, it's just more representative, more accountable, more transparent. You get to vote for the people who are making decisions. Here in the city of Little Rock, the city manager is not elected. So, right now he doesn't report directly to the citizens, he just reports to the board. And so I'm willing to work within the system we have because I think we still have a lot of potential to do well with a more effective mayor. But I'd love to see us move to a mayor council form of government and have true representation.
And of course, that's not entirely up to you.
No,
I mean,
that
has to go before a vote and go before the citizens of Little Rock to make sure that that's something that they also agree with. Right. Here at Fox 16, we have our Victory Over Violence initiative that we created a while ago. It seems to be effective. I think it's effective. I'd like to think so anyway. I will say this, though. This week we reported that violent crime in the city of Little Rock is down. Overall, crime overall down 12%, and homicides down 34%, which is a very, very good thing. Mayor Stodola is crediting his program, which is called Little Rock for Life. He has said that he hopes the next mayor will continue with that program. What are your thoughts on it, and would you continue if you're elected mayor?
Well, here's the thing. 2017 was one of the most violent years we ever had in the city of Little Rock in terms of rape, homicide, aggravated assault. It was also one of our worst years when it comes to property crime, home break-ins, car break-ins. And so, when I started my exploratory committee in 2017, I started talking about these issues because they were really critical, and we had 81 vacancies in the police department at the time. So, yes, I think that some of the initiatives that the city has adopted have been good, but I would say that we need to do a whole lot better. So I want to do a lot more than what Little Rock for Life is accomplishing. I'd say that if your kid was getting an F and they came back and said, now I'm getting a D, I've done 20% better, Mom. You might say, I don't know if a D is good enough. Let's make bigger
is there an
improvements.
analogy here that I can actually hang my hat on? Are you saying that the city is scoring a D in that category? Because we were so, in your opinion, so far behind the 8 ball?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt. We're still, unfortunately, in the worst set of statistics when it comes to cities across the country. I know that in my campaign, everywhere I go in the city, the first thing I hear about is crime and public safety. This is the top concern for people who are, having their homes broken into, who are becoming victims of violent crime. We have absolutely got to get a handle on it. It has to be a sense of urgency, and it has to be the #1 priority for the city. Okay,
let's talk about the police department. Let's go there first. There's no residency requirement, and we often hear a lot of talk about that. Irma Hendricks has been a strong proponent of making sure that our police officers are residents of the city of Little Rock. Are you in favor of that as well?
I'm not in favor of a residency requirement. I definitely would love to get to the point where most of our public safety officials live in the city of Little Rock, but I'd like that to be their choice, mainly because we need to do better on issues like crime and the quality of our public schools and infrastructure issues and all the things that contribute to a quality of life that make people want to live here. But I think it sends a bad message, #1, when you have to force people to live somewhere. #2, it would lead to us losing a lot of public safety officials pretty quickly because such a high percentage of them do live outside the city. And so I think passing a requirement, while well-intended, is not the right move for the city.
Okay. There is reported racial tension in the Little Rock Police Department, mainly between the Black Police Officers Association and the Fraternal Order of Police. How do you solve something like that? When you start talking about police officers and whether they can get along, especially on racial issues, that's a toughie. How would you tackle that problem?
Well, I think we have to hit these issues head on. And I think what's going on inside the police department is also an indication of what's going on in the whole city. Of course, and even just specifically with relationships between the police and communities of color in the city of Little Rock. And so, #1, we have to acknowledge the problem. We have to talk intentionally about it. As mayor, I want to convene the FOP and the Black Police Officers Association to really figure out, what are those key issues that are keeping them from getting along, because quite frankly, I think it's unfortunate we even have to have 2 separate organizations that are defined by race.
Does it disappoint you that nothing seems to be working so far to get these 2 groups together?
Well, I have to ask, who's trying? One of the reasons why I'm running for mayor is because we have so many challenges that I think we can solve and can overcome, but I don't see anybody actively trying to do it. I don't see a visible, transparent effort that's, again, setting goals and measuring progress toward those goals. I think we need a mayor who says, here's a problem I'd like to solve, the one that you just identified. Here are the things that I'm going to do. We're going to bring people together. We're going to air out, what the issues are, because I have a lot of confidence that when you do things that way, you not only, allow people to know what your goals are, but you put pressure on both sides to say, hey, what are the issues that are keeping you from getting together? Because there've got to be a couple things that we can do to really start to make progress on that issue.
I'm going to ask you one more question. I think we're about to run out of time. Amazon. Amazon went to North Little Rock instead of Little Rock.
Right.
First of all, were you disappointed? And the other part of that question is, Little Rock pays the chamber about $300,000 to represent the city, but it's a regional chamber, which means, you know, they're representing so many other cities in our area, namely North Little Rock. North Little Rock got an Amazon, Little Rock did not.
Well, and let me say, I'm happy for North Little Rock, and we have to start thinking regionally as far as economic development goes, because all the most successful areas of the country, whether it's Northwest Arkansas or whether it's, you know, areas like Nashville, Tennessee, Austin, Texas, they're all working regionally because they understand that, you know, if you can define yourself as a bigger population center and you take advantage of all the assets that you have, you can do more to attract and grow business. But, you know, this is an indication, again, of Little Rock sort of fumbling the ball in the sense that, you know, we made a point, instead of going after the Amazon headquarters, we sort of thumbed our nose at them in a very public way. And I don't think it's coincidental that Amazon, in essence, thumbed its nose at Little Rock by putting a distribution facility right there across the river. And again, I'm happy because it means jobs, it means economic development. Ultimately, Little Rock will benefit from that. But boy, do we need to do better to say that we're a city that is, you know, interested in technology, the 21st century economy, and attracting those kind of businesses to our city. Okay,
Warwick Sabin, thank you so much for being here. Thanks so much for talking about your campaign and your vision for Little Rock.
Thank you, and SabinForMayor.com is where people can go for more info.
Good information. All right, that's going to do it for us for now, and we hope you have enjoyed this interview. I'm Donna Terrell. Thanks for watching.